right? We not having that. We want to build a community, forever. Kids win, we win. Period.
All right, we back. Episode 53, A.M.University. Welcome back, everybody. Wayne,
what's going on?
Did you see? You saw they said Embiid and Tobias and them tried to fly out to
LA.
To meet Ben.
Cool. I said what I said.
You don't need to say nothing.
You think Ben coming back?
No,
he done.
I gave him his bag.
Wayne, yeah, he gave him his bag last episode. But we ain't talking about basketball today. Chris Pollard, what's going on, brother?
What's up, man?
First of all, congratulations.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Big congrats. Word.
Thanks, man.
He is the latest Bishop EUSTACE high school football coach, and so I talked to him recently, and I thought it was a great time to have him on the show because we don't talk about what it takes to build a program very often. A lot of people think it's sweet, like you just show up and because of your name or because of your background, everything is supposed to just go smooth, right? Parents, players, everybody think you're just supposed to win off the bat. It can happen, but people don't really understand the things necessary in order to build a program and sustain a winning and traditional program forever, right? So what I want to do is I want to walk down Chris's timeline, talk about what I feel about it, and I would love to hear what Wayne feel about as far as building a program, because we all know Wayne's an inspiring basketball coach. So let's do some on-the-job training. So Chris, you got the job at Bishop EUSTACE. Walk me through when you first got the job. What's the first thing you did organizational wise? The first thing that came to your mind that you thought that needed to be done as soon as you got the job?
So the first thing that I had to do was talk to the kids.
Yeah.
Before I talked to even thought about a coaching staff, I talked to the kids because I needed them to buy into a different culture. We know Bishop EUSTACE has been the laughing stock of everybody's football list since the past 10, probably 11 years. So
they was good when we was.
They tried.
They had some years.
Remember my first year at Woodrow Wilson? That was our first loss, first game. So I think they beat us like 6-0, 7-0 that game. Yeah, but they were tough that year. They probably made some playoffs. Okay. They had a couple of tough teams. They have. I think I played against them when I was younger, probably freshman year. Freshman year, I wasn't with y'all.
I know Hussein went there.
Yeah, tough. They was tough. They had ballers, but trying to switch it around now. That program was a joke, and it was a joke of the school too. It wasn't just like outside. It was a joke of the school.
So no tradition, no football tradition.
So no football tradition, and the kids were getting treated like that. It was the kid, their peers talk bad about them. So the first thing was, let's get them. Let's talk about how we want to change. What things we know worked from last year. What things we know won't work. And it started from your seniors. But now you have to get these babies that you're gonna have for your next 4 years. Your freshmen, they have the most input on you on what's going on because now you get to grow with them. I plan on being there to help and grow with these guys, and we keep adding on freshmen after every game. So I know we start off with 18 kids. 18 kids that whole summer we running, and then come together. We got 25, 30 kids, damn near 30 kids now. But the next thing was after talking to the kids, getting them to buy into the culture, and they still didn't trust it. You got meet, and after the kids, the parents. The parents, that first thing was the kids, then after that was a parent meeting, letting them know like has to be a different change. These kids are privileged kids where they used to being out. Their summers, they're out the country, they're at the beach houses. Summertime is football time for us. This is the prime time for us training. So for the past 6 to 5 years, they've been doing what they want, moving how they need to move during football season. And that doesn't work. So now our parents are even starting to buy in, letting us know like, all right, coach, when can we go? Early June, right after school lets out. So now they want to have a better programming. They're tired of their kids getting talked about. They're tired of their kids coming home talking about they're getting talked about.
Yeah.
And once you get the parents to buy in, it goes on from there.
I like the way you was ready to step up a level to coach a prep school, because it's a different element of problems that come with that. You know, now you got, like you said, on the summer, you got people going to beach houses and going out the country for their summers.
All right.
You know what I mean? So you telling the parents pretty much like, if you want your son to really be serious about football, you might want to cut back that vacation a little bit. Let me get them for them 2 days.
I mean, because they,
you know what I mean?
And I ain't gonna say it's based off the last regime, but it could be based off the last regime. They probably thought that was okay.
I know.
Going to beach houses in the summer.
Yeah.
Nah, and it was like it is, and you gotta have an understanding to know. And then half the kids, you got majority of my kids. I probably got 3 to 4 kids that actually played football.
Okay.
Some point in their life before they hit high school. So these kids are doing, for them, that is a realization for them, because during baseball time, the summertime, high school ends, we travel, then we gonna go play in some other tournaments. They not worried about football. Basketball season, we playing summer league games, and then we out. We traveling with AAU teams. So that's what these kids, I got a few, like I said, I got a few football players, but I'm turning in all these kids that never played the game into football players, and that's like the biggest thing for me. Yeah, you're going to take your L's. Yes, I knew what I was getting myself into.
You ready for it. You ready.
I knew what I was getting myself into. No, I ain't know I was going to get smacked up like that. Who knows they going to, because I had high hopes, like, yeah, we going to go in the Holy Cross, and we going, bang, yeah, we got Cannon Catholic 82 points later. Damn. It's over.
Remember, you just said that. I want to come back to that. Remember that point that you just said. I want to come back to that. You got anything to add on to that first question?
No. That's
if
cool.
you was building an organization, that was I would say the same thing. Cool. That's spot on, because it's like you don't want to leave nobody, especially the parents, to assume anything. This is me, and listen, this is me. You either respect it or you move on, but this is how it's going to be.
Absolutely.
Like, that's it, you know. So you kind of already answered the second one, but I want you to like try to elaborate a little more on it. Did you feel like you had to do anything from the last regime that they did? Anything?
Yeah. So the last regime, last year was the first year. Last year's coach first year too.
Oh, okay.
So in the past, so they had a new coach 3 years straight. Me being the third. So the new coach, yeah, there's a lot of stuff I can take from his system, but it was more, I think, administrative wise. Like the game was a little bit different. So a lot of the stuff that he wanted us to mentor and build men on a therapeutic aspect of football, but football is the therapy. Playing the game is the therapy. Learning how to play the game, it gives you the therapy, takes you away from the world. Not talking about life during playing the game, and that was what was going on. We wasn't focusing on football. We was focusing on what's going on at home. Bro, this is a place we get away from home life. I go to coach because I want to get away from the world. This is my zone where, this is where I could be right. I know this. This is the place where these kids that didn't know it, they're actually getting a chance to know stuff. They're getting to be right. Like that win alone made those kids feel so much special and love the game now. I just came from an open house today, and I got freshman kids that just joined the team last week and was water boys during the win, going around trying to recruit kids. I love it. I never played football before, and that's the part of the thing. That's what the part, like, that's what you keep. Like, that's what we couldn't do before. It was more militant, more dictatorship. I'm not a dictator. I don't like that. I don't like to be around somebody that's not going to tell me stinks.
Okay.
Like that's not how, and that's what you do with building your coaching staff. We went from having 4 coaching staffs versus this year I had 12. Now you went down to 8 because everybody's not gonna buy into your system. And it's not.
They fell off on their own, or
They fell off on their own. Like I'm not letting nobody go, but I'm not stopping. You said it like, yo, they accepting me. Parents accepting me for who I am.
Mm-hmm.
These kids are accepting me for the coach that I am, the way I talk, the way I speak, down to the way I dress. So yo, if a grown man that I bring out or a grown woman that I bring out that want to coach, they fall off because they don't like my style. This may not be the place. No hard feelings. But it's cool. It's always leave open arms for somebody to come back because, again, I'm giving people chances to come coach just like I got a chance. I got a shot, so I'm willing to give people shots.
Let's go into that. You got something to add on to that?
As far as but building a tradition.
I mean, do you feel like you should do things that the last regime did at all?
No, I'm blowing it up.
It's always blowing it up.
Yeah, blowing it up.
Even if they did something that you like or whatever like that.
I mean, I might take a few things, but I'm blowing
Other
it up.
than that, yeah.
So they ain't blowing it up then. If you taking some stuff.
When I say take a few things, meaning like if it's a junior point guard going into his senior year and he was the point guard since his sophomore and freshman year, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, he might have his spot. Let me see what he got, but I'm gonna keep that same. If that's a part of the regime.
You think, okay, now since you said it, you think that senior point guard gonna feel entitled to have that position?
Definitely.
You think that's a good thing?
Coming from being a coach, I'm gonna be a player's coach. Yeah, I'm a feeling though. I'm a feeling, but that might be my. So
you know you playing.
That might be my captain too.
That's with the devil though too.
Wow.
He know he the man.
Mm-hmm.
He gonna carry himself like the man. He could do things that other people.
If he
can't
is the
do.
man, I will let him know that he's the man. I'm gonna let him know in front of the whole team that this is
really.
I'm gonna give everybody
really?
their roles. Oh yeah. Huh?
If it's somebody better than him, what if he not the man?
Oh
just
well,
think he the man?
then I'm gonna go from there. I'm gonna say, hey.
Oh, time out.
I'm giving out rules.
If somebody, let's flip it. Let's say no, he is the best player.
Oh yeah.
So, no. Let's say what both of y'all said.
He's the best player.
So it depends whether he's the best player or not best player. How you treat him.
Oh no, it don't nothing to do with how I'm gonna treat him. Nothing to do with that.
Yeah, it do.
What?
You said he's gonna have a little bit more.
I said I'm gonna give him the spot. You said, am I gonna take anything? I said I'm gonna blow it up. Chris said, well, if you're going to take a little bit from before, it's not blowing it up. I'm saying, well, if a point guard was already there and he had a couple years consecutively being a starter.
But he wasn't there for you. He wasn't there for your philosophy. He wasn't there for your non-negotiables. I feel like all coaches should have non-negotiables. Even if you don't want to blow it up, if I like something Chris did, he was on the last regime, I'm taking it, right? But I know me as Antoine Miller, it's things that I will not tolerate. It's a couple things, right? Everything else, I might like what Chris did last year. I'm going to do it, you know? Like, I'm going to roll with it. You saying...
I'm blowing it up.
But you're not, though.
Why?
Because you're going to play the senior point guard just based off him being a 2-3 year starter.
Yeah.
You're going to let him know that from the rip.
But
so he don't got to
start?
Yeah, he don't got to compete for anything.
I didn't say that. I said I may take that. I may take it. I said I'm blowing it up. That's what I said. I'm going to blow it up.
Okay.
I'm not taking nothing from the other coach.
Okay. All right. That ain't what you said, but all right.
I can do it better than I can say it.
Okay. So you alluded to the staff. So hiring your staff, how'd you go about that? Because I feel like that's, man, if you don't have a staff that agrees or understands your outlook, bro, you in for it. Like, if you don't have a staff that you can trust, you in for it. If you don't have a staff that you can turn your back and you don't got to worry about your team, you in for it. If you don't have a staff that, and this is, I think, a lot of coaches devalue because of our pride. If you don't have a staff that might have a strength that you have as a weakness as a head coach, you win it. You win trouble.
You see how Dion had to have his assistant coach take over?
And he seemed like he did well.
He did well.
I think that's so important. But
It's tough.
go ahead, Chris. How'd you go about hiring your staff?
So
What you look at it as?
So I just gave dudes first chances, but my philosophy on hiring my coaching staff this year was, I know I gotta hire dudes that know how to check their egos from the door. Knowing going to the system that we really getting everything from out the mud. I'm explaining to them during my interview process. I'm explaining like, we got kids that never played the game. Can you teach this game? Can you really develop? Like, how well can you really coach? So a lot of the guys, firstly, I picked youth coaches because youth coaches know how to develop kids and teach. So yeah, I know I'm going to take my bumps and bruises. Yes, high school game is way faster than little league football, but I put people around, and we say the trust piece. Who other than you can trust? I hire family. Like I hire people that I knew since daycare on. My brother, my dad. Coach, my offensive coordinator, Coach Q, I knew him and trained his son for years. So, dudes like that, we already know, like, they can check me. I don't want nobody around me that's not going to tell me I'm doing something wrong. Like, you can't be around me if you can't check me. I'm cool with being checked. And yes, I don't know D-line. I don't know as much D-line. Yes, I know enough to get by, but I'm going to hire somebody that's going to know more than me. That's how you build a team. A part of being a leader, I was able to follow too. And you got to be able to delegate. By delegating, you delegate people to their strengths. You put people in the right position to win. And it's starting to, like, doing it now, it's starting to come to fruition because, again, we got these youth coaches stepping into a high school round for everybody. This is their first year doing everything. This is my first year being a head coach.
Y'all gonna grow together. Y'all gonna grow together.
So we all grow together, and we're gonna add more good guys because, like I said, people want to fall off. Everybody's not gonna feel the same way about everybody. But right now, the team that I got is pretty good.
Them couple of football players you said you got, is one of them a quarterback?
No. So my quarterback was a baseball player. Never just started playing football last year. Center fielder. We turned
not
the
even
center
a pitcher.
fielder into not even a pitcher. Turned to center fielder, and he's taking in the game. He's doing the best he can. He threw his first touchdown pass this past weekend. We lost.
What year is he?
He's a junior.
Okay.
So now I get to work with him this whole summer. But he's an athlete.
Is he buying into the summer thing? Like his summer might be a little different this year?
Yeah, so he knows his summer is going to be different. But the thing is, I get to see these kids. They're watching film. They're asking questions. When you get kids like that, now mind you, my quarterback didn't show up the whole summer.
Okay.
Because he wasn't taking it serious. Now he's back there in that fire rail.
Oh, let me see what's going on.
Let me figure it out so I don't get hurt.
Correct. I really play
life
baseball.
Or death. Somebody hit you the wrong way. You're not paying attention. You don't put somebody in the right place. And I think I picked the right kid to be the leader of this team. Mind you, we got one of our safeties is probably leading the state in interceptions right now. That's a small win, but that's big coming from Bishop Eustace. We got a free safety from Bishop Eustace
leading the state.
Out of all these athletes and great DBs, Bishop Eustace got a #1 kid in the state. So
talk about that process without giving up your real recipe of how you found that leader, like how you went through it.
It's just
by you was talking to him, or like it was more on the field stuff.
That's a good question.
So everything happens off the field. Like I pay, like, I don't know if it's a gift. I don't know. Like, I really sit back and pay attention to kids in a crowd, and I think it's because of my field, the field that I work in. Watching over kids, seeing who's going to do what, really seeing who's the leader. Like that Pulaski's diamond. I don't know if y'all ever heard about that. That's some type of model that we use in the behavior field to see what kids is who inside of a room.
Okay.
You'll watch, but this.
Good. All right. Well, first of all, I want to thank Chris for coming on the show. Like I said, we had technical difficulties, and we only got the first 20 minutes of his segment. But the great thing about this is, everything that he echoed is pretty much we got the same philosophy as far as building a program, you know. So the things that I'm about to tell y'all, me and Chris coincide with the same concepts and the same theory about building a program. And he's going to do phenomenal things at Bishop EUSTACE and wherever he coaches in the future. So kudos to Chris for what he's doing at Bishop EUSTACE in his first year, and we wish him all the success. But with saying that, again, I'm just going to finish the second half of what we feel is the values that you need in order to build a program. A lot of people, for whatever reason, go into this whole ordeal and think that, I don't know, they just think a certain way about how a program is supposed to be built, you know. And the problem is everybody thinks about the present moment, right? Like, I got talent right now, I got this in place right now, and that's going to sustain me, but it's not. It's not. It's certain attributes and it's certain ways that you got to go about building this thing for the longevity of your program, you know. And if you're not doing these things that we about to talk about, you went for it. You went for it. So we just gonna finish off on where me and Chris started, and yeah, just go from there. So what we got? What we got first?
Hiring your staff. How would you go about that? What would you say?
Yeah, so Chris already alluded to this a little bit. Chris hired family, and I think it's a lot of truth to that, because you want people you could trust. You want people you can trust. The worst part about being on the staff is when y'all not on the same page. That's it's like a deadly sin, because you got to turn your back at times, right? And if your staff is telling kids different from what your philosophy is and what your outlook is, it's a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for disaster, and it's going to come back to bite you, you know. So you want to build a staff that first has the same values that you have. Secondly, like I said, you want to build with people that you can trust and that you could be honest with as far as criticism. Like a lot of people, a lot of head coaches, and you would think this don't happen at the high school level, but it trickled down from the NFL and the NBA. A lot of head coaches don't want to be criticized. They really want yes men. Like, they want y'all to just be soldiers and just not tell me anything that I'm doing wrong. Like, no, this is the way we doing it, and that's it. I never understood that, because what is the assistants here for? Like, it's no point in them being here if they just gonna be yes men. You want people on your staff that's gonna criticize you, because what happens in the end of the day, it pushes you as a head coach. You know, and head coach got to do the same thing. You got to push your staff, because I will hope everybody on your staff wants to be head coaches one day, or they got other goals and aspirations as far as longevity about what they want to do. You don't want to put your assistant coaches in jail. You know, you want them to flourish. You want them to eventually leave your program and go start their own program. Otherwise, what we here for, right? So you want people on your staff that criticize you. And third, which I think is a very undervalued part of this whole ordeal, is you want people that's not good, that's better than you at certain attributes. You know what I mean?
What you mean? Like,
if you're not let's say you're not a defensive guy as far as football or basketball or something like that. That's not your expertise. You want somebody in your staff that's really good at teaching defense, you know. But again, coaches get into that thing, the pride part, when they say, no, I got this. But in actuality, it's not a strength of yours. Chris alluded to this on the interview. He said, I'm not a defensive line coach. How many head coaches is going to say they struggle at teaching the defensive line, and I got to get better at it, but I know this guy over here can really do it? Not many coaches. And to me, that's one of the first signs of being a great coach, putting your ego to the side and being humble. I'm not that good at this. I need to go out and find somebody that's really good at it, you know? Like, so, because it just makes everybody stronger as a staff, you know? When we got bam, 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 bam. You got this guy that's good at training. You got this guy that's good at recruiting. You got this guy that's good at talking to kids. You got this guy that's good at leadership positions. You got this guy that's good at offense or defense, you know? Now we're good as a whole, you know? And I don't see a lot of staffs like that. You know, you see a whole bunch of weaknesses, but it comes from pride, you know, because we don't delegate our time, you know. And me personally, I learned that the hard way. You can't do everything yourself. It's impossible. I don't care how good a coach you are. You can't do everything yourself, you know. So you got to be able to delegate these tasks and move forward.
I just want to say, so you said you have to hire your family. Now, I just wanted you to allude on that, because does that put you at a disadvantage, because isn't a lot of coaches out there, they may hire their boys, their friends, or somebody that is not really qualified for the job, and they'll get the position because you hire your family. So maybe I could interpret that wrong. I just wanted to.
No, that's a good question. The reason I agree with Chris about hiring his family, because I would assume he meant this. You should be able to trust your family. Like, and that's the start of that question. You want people that you can trust, because again, y'all leave and go home after the games.
And it don't have to be bloodline family.
Yeah,
you mean just people who like.
But everybody got to go out into the community. Everybody got to go and do these things, and you need somebody that they gonna say good things about what you're doing. They with you to the end no matter what. Even if you go on a 7-game losing streak, y'all gonna fight with me to the end, and vice versa. We preach that to the kids as family. It's the same thing with the coaching staff. But going back to your question, it is a caveat to that though, is because and that comes from leadership as a head coach. You also can't just hire people because they're your boys and your family, because we got a job to do, right? We got a job to do that's important, so you got to hire people that's qualified for the job. Or if they're not qualified for the job, you got to understand that as a coach, and put them in a box where they can't hurt anybody. You still teaching them, they're still getting on the job training, but they can't hurt the program, and to me, that way everybody wins, Yeah, you'll put them in a situation in practice where they can get better as a coach, that won't necessarily affect you in the game, but you can't just be giving people these tasks in game where it can affect the whole program because that's your boy. That's where leadership qualities come into play, totally different. I think we talk about this all the time. I think hardworking people in general, is hard to find, right? So if you find a hardworking person that don't necessarily know the X's and O's and the things needed in order to perform as a coach, it's your job to teach them, but it's also your job to not put them in a situation where they can harm this entire thing that we doing, So yeah, it's always a caveat to things like that. But first and foremost, you need people that you can trust, and you gotta figure it out after that. But
and you said people that believe in your whole vision,
yeah, because people got different philosophies and outlooks. A lot of people want to be the man. A lot of people think that the way they want to do it is the right way off the rip. They just don't tell you. But what's going to happen is, and it's going to happen, it's going to come a time where you go on a 3-game losing streak. It's going to come a time where something's going wrong, where a parent is upset, where fans are upset, and whatever like that. And if you're not on the same page, those characteristics of the person on your staff that's not on the same page with you, they will come out, guaranteed, right? So you got to lay those ground rules from the rip when you're in the interviewing process with these people. Like, look, this is the way I want to do it. Bam, bam, bam. Tell me your philosophy on it. Do you agree that way? I'm a defensive guy first, no matter what. Offense is great, but I'm a defensive guy first. If you want to just score points and you don't really care about defense, we're going to have a problem, and we can't be on the same staff together. Because I have a philosophy that if you defend the basketball, at the worst, if you defend the basketball, you'll always be in the game. That's how I feel. Mm-hmm. Some people feel if I got a great offense, I could score 120 points. What are you talking about defense? No, I'm scoring 120 points a game. Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. That's your twist, bro. That's your twist. That ain't how I approach the game. So we can never be on the staff. So that's what I mean by that.
Okay. So as far as structuring your offensive, defensive, and overall team philosophy, what approach are you taking to get your players to buy in?
Now, that's a loaded question. I think well, first of all, you gotta be consistent as a coach. Let me start there. You gotta come in and be consistent. I've seen so many coaches that they'll preach something in the beginning and it'll just fade away. You won't hear from it anymore, or they'll just do it for show. Or when we start losing, they revert back to something else. And kids are stupid smart. Like, they so smart, right? And they pick up on that and be like, oh, if I don't do this, I don't really have too many consequences for it, and then it just trickled down throughout the whole organization. But that comes from the head. You got to be consistent and clear and concise with the parents, the players, your assistant coaches, your overall program. This is how we're going to play. This is how we're going to play, and we're going to do it every single day. This is what we're going to be great at. If we're good at these other things and we get great at these other things, fine. but we're going to be great at this, and we're going to work on it every single day. And if you can't have that type of mentality, again, no hard feelings, but you can't be a part of this, you know. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, which for some reason I don't understand why coaches don't understand this. You have to be able to adapt. I think the best attribute of a coach on any type of atmosphere and level is adapting to your talent and adapting to personnel as far as your characteristic, your makeup as a person and things like that. I can't just come at this kid the way I could come at this kid. Why? Because this kid has a mom that had an overdose and a dad that's not there, and they got a defense mechanism when they see another man. That's the things we don't talk about enough when we in this coaching world. We think we just lay the hammer and they come in here and they pose to do everything we do. It's not these generation of kids. They coming in with a lot of different emotional problems where we got to tap in as a coach and navigate it and figure out what's the best angle for that kid. Now, everybody needs to be held accountable, for sure. Everybody needs to be held accountable, but you can't come at this kid the way that you could come at this kid. You know, so we got to be able to adapt in every situation, but the accountability never stops. It never stops. You know what you're going to get out of me. I'm a black and white person, and I'm truthful. And that's another thing that I think we don't do enough as coaches. We got to be brutally honest, in my opinion, with these kids. Because first, they're going to go out into the real world eventually, right? And as we all know, that's adults, the real world ain't sweet. You know, like it's not sweet at all. You know, I'm doing them a disservice if I'm not telling them what I feel is the honest truth. You don't have to agree with me or not, but this is what I see. And this is the numbers and everything that I'm backing up to tell you what I see. This is my honest opinion, right? We could do this, but in order to get better at this, we got to do this, right? And I feel like the kids that really want to be coached, and the parents, I've never had an issue ever in my life with being honest with a parent or a kid. They might not agree with me from the rip, but they respect it. And I think that's so important, the respect factor and who you are as a person. Me and Chris, again, and Wayne alluded to this earlier, you got to be who you are. You got to be who you are at all times. You know, you can't try to be another coach. You can't try to do what the parents want to do, what the best so-called, quote-unquote, best player want to do, what the crowd want to do. You got to be truthful to yourself and believe in what you're doing, you know. And for me, that's always worked, you know. So yeah.
You said being consistent with them, getting to the parents, having a good rapport with the parents, and just what about any leaders? Do you separate because there's different level of kids, right, on the team. Some
Right.
of them are more like
Yeah. I mean, for some reason, especially at the high school level, that always works itself out as far as leadership. You see who everybody goes to, you see who everybody want to be around, you see who everybody looks to, and in most cases, that's the upperclassman. And that's who you want to try to get to first. Let's say you're a new coach in a new program, you want to try to get to those upperclassmen first and see if they get on board.
Let me ask you, do the best players on the team have any other extra responsibilities on the team? Like if the best,
Yeah, for sure. They got the most responsibility. And again, you got to verbalize that to them.
Why?
Or they're going to think you picking on them. They're going to think you picking on them because you're giving them more responsibility than everybody else. I look at you as the leader. In order to be a leader, first of all, I saw the leadership quality in you. You know, so again, with leadership comes responsibility.
Is the best player always a leader though?
Nah.
So what do you do?
It works out a lot better when the best player is the leader, but that's not the case. You let that person lead. You know, because again, at the end of the day, the other players are going to respect that. They're going to respect that. You know, they're going to respect how hard this person works. They're going to respect how hard this person cares for his craft and cares for the team. You know, and the people that don't respect it, they got to go. Like they got to go because we're doing something here and we're doing it consistently. And this is how we're going to run this program, you know, and then have those honest conversations, with people. You know, you think by coming in and scoring 20 points a game that's benefiting the team, but it's all these other little things that go into that. You know, it's just not about scoring. Not with a program ran by me. It's just not about scoring. You know, it's a whole bunch of other things. It's the camaraderie. It's y'all calling each other and making sure everybody to practice on time, making sure everybody to workouts on time. We're not gonna be able to do that as adults. They're kids. We're not around them 24/7. You know, so you need a stern leader in order to do that. And again, ideally, in most cases, you wanted to be the best players, but sometimes it might be the sophomore in the team. You know, and if that's the case, you probably will take your lumps, you know, because them seniors didn't want to buy in. But that's okay. That's okay, because we're talking longevity. And I think that's what people fail to realize. Let's say a freshman or a sophomore is the leader of the team. They might be the best player, you know, and the coach is looking to them for leadership. Is a freshman or sophomore going to give you leadership while he's a freshman or sophomore, the thing that you need in the way that you need it? Probably not, right? But the juniors and seniors is showing that they don't want to buy in. Right? They showing that they don't want to buy in. But what happens is this grooms the freshman and sophomore, you know, for when they a junior or senior and things like that. And now the other freshmen and sophomores coming in, they already know what this is established. You know, and so you have a mentality, you have an energy in a room where everybody's verbalizing the same thing as the head coach and the assistant coach. You know, and again, we thinking longevity. We're not thinking about right now. You know, if you don't want to get down right now, cool, step aside, right? And we're going to take our lumps. But in a couple years, you know, we get the same type of people that we want in here as far as mentally, you know, and, you know, sky's the limit after that. And that's how you build. That's how you build.
Are you instilling any expectations in your players?
I expect my kids to come in and play as hard as possible every single day for their team, for their self, for their family. And try to listen to the teaching that they're getting. That's, for me, that's all I expect. And I think that's a great question, because again, with expectations, you know, people will tell their kids in the beginning of the year that they want to win a championship. You can't control that, bro. Like, that's God, and that's like, it's 16 other teams or whatever that's trying to do the same thing as you. Like, the ball might just, you can't say that to a kid. And for me, we talking to 16-year-old kids, they not thinking next week. So why would we talk about 2 to 3 months from now about winning the championship? I care about today. Did you come in here and give everything that you give today, and did you get better than you were yesterday? Right? Next day. Very simple, but we don't follow simple concepts like that in life and in sports. We don't follow simple concepts like that. And when you worry about the day, then the next day you do the same thing, and the next day, and the next day. You keep worrying about that day and getting better. And when you do that, now you flourish. Now you become the player that you're supposed to be. Now you become the team that you supposed to be, because you worry about the day. And then next thing you know, you winning the championship. You know, so it's totally different. I'll never forget Brett Ledbetter, the guy that I watch on YouTube, when he was interviewing Urban Meyer. When Urban Meyer was at Florida and Ohio State, and he won championships, and then he was like, oh, what's next? Oh, I gotta do this. I gotta do this. It never stops. If you just solely think about championships, it never stops, right? And you make yourself crazy. The best part of this is the journey. Like, the best part of this is the journey, and going on the journey every single day with your brothers, you know? That's what you remember. The championships is just the icing on the cake, but it's you really put in this grind in the summer and the uncomfortable situations.
You feel that way during the losing season? The journey?
It was a time I didn't. it was definitely a time I didn't. You know, but again, a losing season.
What was your worst record in West Tech, y'all, losing season?
8-19.
No, what journey, realistic journey? I mean, were you so enthused about?
That in a way, that was probably my 6th year coaching high school basketball. That was the start of me being a great coach. That 8-19 season.
So that's when you.
Because I'll tell you why. Because prior to that, I thought like the dorm. I thought the best players need to be treated like the best players because they could score. You know, so we let them get away with some things, you know, but they're scoring points. So it's okay, right? I knew he didn't touch that suicide, but I let him go. Like that type of philosophy, I didn't hold him accountable every single day. And that season, which at the time was,
And you had no expectations from him.
no, I had high expectations for them going into the year,
Okay.
and they did none of it, right? And at the time, it was the worst year of coaching I've ever had in my life. I felt sick to my stomach every day, but now that I look back at it, it was actually the best year of coaching because it firmly taught me how basketball is supposed to be played and coached. Firmly taught me how
At the high school level or at any level?
At any level. I think basketball is basketball. And people could say this, you could have a LeBron James and you could have this guy that could shoot from the Raptors and things like that. Basketball is basketball. It never changes. We change as people. We think we have to cater to what the so-called norm is now of basketball. You know, what we see on Instagram and what everybody's telling us we got to do because it's the wave. That's how we feel. And everybody gets sucked into it because you feel pressured because the masses is doing this. You know, but if you see
that's hard. It takes time to build, because what you're saying is you have to build a culture from, like, that takes time. That doesn't always seem realistic, or
what
people try and win.
Name something that was great in life that didn't take time though. Like Picasso, like anything. Name something. What overnight wonder worked for 25 years? Name somebody that did it. They all had longevity because, you know, they figured it out and they figured out the system to it. You know, we could always make a one-hit wonder. The year before that, 8 and 19 year, we had a one-hit wonder, and we thought that was the way of coaching, but it wasn't. And we tried to double down on it the next year and make this one of the toughest schedules in New Jersey, and we got rocked 8 and 19 later. You know, so it clearly showed me how you're supposed to go about this thing called life. And I tell you this all the time with basketball, it's synonymous to life. You know, it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. And that clearly told me what needed to be done. So as far as expectations, don't have any. Expect your kids to come in and perform at whatever their skill set is. Whatever their skill set is, expect your kids to come and perform at the best of their abilities. After that, you got to wash your hands with it. You know, it's up to you in the off season to get better players and things like that, and X's and O's wise, you know, put them in better positions. But this kid is what it is, and live with it for the time being. As long as they doing the right thing, nobody's human, bro. Like, nobody's human. And another thing we got to realize,
Everybody's human, you mean?
I mean, yeah, everybody's human. I'm sorry. But what we got to realize is 98% of the world, as far as basketball, as far as football, as far as organizations, they're not just blessed with talent. And that's what we got to realize. The people that's blessed with talent and they think they got an organization, you really don't. You don't have a program. You getting talent here and there.
You just have the best players.
You just got the best players. You don't
but
have
why
a,
does
you don't have a program.
Why can't that work? That is a program, and that could be some people's philosophy. I'm scooping up all the best players, and I don't got time to be doing what you're talking about.
Again, 98.
I'm getting the best players, and I'm gonna be better than your team and your philosophy, player for player.
You can't sustain that. It's proven. You can't sustain that.
You trying to get it done.
You can't tell me a program that just had the best players year in and year out for 10 years, 10, 15, 20 years, and they sustained that. It's impossible. Not one organization from professional down to high school. You can't tell me one organization that sustained success by just having talent. You can't do it, because that's not how you sustain success. And that's what 98% of the world has to deal with. So again, like, when building a program, you got to do it the right way. You got to talk to these parents. They need to know you. You got to know these kids. You know, you got to do the little things. As y'all see, I ain't even say anything about X's and O's at all, because it's such a small portion of the game. You want X's and O's on the last play of the game. You know, if you're fortunate to be in the game at the end. You know, you don't win that. X's and O's don't get you to 20 wins in a season. No, it's the little things, having these relationships with these kids, building a community. You know, having full transparency, being honest, telling the kids when you're wrong. You know, things like that. That's the things that builds a program for decades and decades on. You know, so yeah.
Pretty good.
That's it. Yeah. So
How you build a culture 101. Coach Twizzy.